I'm Elizabeth Howland, and I have been involved with Friends of the Petaluma River since the very beginning, 20 years ago. My husband, David Yearsley, was truly a marsh man, and he felt most at home out in the Petaluma Watershed and in the marsh and on the river, and that's where our lives began. So when people ask me how I got involved with the organization, I always say somewhat reluctantly, I married into it.
Splashing and chirping through bills.
So I'll tell you a little bit about our first date, because I think that'll give you a real sense of who David was. He was living in the East Bay and called me up and said, hey, I'd like to take you out on a little piece of maritime salvage. And I thought about it and thought, well, that sounds interesting. I wonder what that means. So I met him over where he had found a dock that washed up on the land, managed to get it out into the water, tied it onto David's motorboat, little wooden motorboat, and he said, okay, hop in. That's it. We're headed out. And he and I and the dock headed out across San Pablo Bay. Finally, at dusk, we pulled up to the cabin and tied it off. And that was the end of that date. And I thought, well, this is a really unusual person. I want to get to know him more. And 4 years later, we married, and he started this organization. He was pretty lucky I was the one he asked. He grew up on the Delaware marshes. That's where a place he loved, where he loved as a boy to fish and hike and spend time out on the water. So when he moved to California, he fell in love with the Petaluma Marsh and Petaluma Watershed. And his mother, Henrietta, always wanted him to be a preacher. And after he started Friends of the Petaluma River and became an advocate for the river and all things about the river, he called her up and he said, Mom, I just gave my sermon on the marsh and I think I've found my calling. And as David was founding the organization, he discovered this barn out on the McNair Peninsula that had been moved here when the city built the parking garage. And he made a deal with the city that Friends would start cleaning it up and would like to be able to use it as a River Heritage Center. And at one point, the city council voted to unanimously to make Friends the official stewards of the McNair Peninsula and of the barn. One of my last conversations with him before he died was to come to him and say, David, I just got a call. The city council wants to name the barn after you. And is that okay with you? And he, took my hand and tears came out of his eyes and he said, I'd be so honored. And that was really a beautiful culmination and honoring him for all the work that he'd done over the years.
A paddle makes a mighty fine sail. The tulies and mices and wishes for fishes cover my gold water trail.
So one of the things I think about is if David were here today and it was a Friday afternoon and we put the boat in the water and we're headed out to the marsh, to the little marshmallow cabin, how I'd fill him in on what we've been doing and where the organization that he founded is today and what our vision is and our goals and dreams. And I would tell him they really still go back to what he created. It's still our North Star, this idea that if you can connect people to a resource like our river and they engage with it, it will become something that they care about, and that will be the thing that they want to protect and conserve. David started the organization on his own, but it became a collective movement that brought attention to the river and is carried on by many friends and partners today. So this has been a celebration of our first 20 years. Well, what's next? What's the organization planning? What are we going to be doing? Well, I can tell you one thing we're going to do is we're going to follow that true north vision that David Yearsley had to connect people with the watershed, that caring is what's going to support and protect this incredible resource that we have. How are we going to do that in the next 20 years? We've already started. We have programs in our public schools that we're going to expand. Our goal is that every child in Petaluma in every grade will learn something about the watershed. And not only just learn about it, get out and connect with it. David always used to say, a little mud gets in your blood. You should get your feet dirty sometimes. We like to connect kids in nature.
Rowing his way to the sky.
We also are working on a really big project to conserve and protect a large part of the upper river that will have trails and access for our community and also provide flood control and climate resilience. Right here at the heart of things at the David Yearsley River Heritage Center in the McNair Peninsula, we will continue to have this be a place that our community can gather, go out in our boats, out on our new dock, and have celebrations, barn dances, gatherings, potlucks, just like David envisioned all those years ago, so that we can connect and enjoy this beautiful place that we call home. And one thing I can assure is that in the next 20 years, we'll still follow our North Star and we'll be part of this community and bring our community together to celebrate and conserve the Petaluma River.
By and by.
If I could encapsulate in one word what this 20 years of this work has brought to me, it would be joy.